Sigma EST is a web application secured by user credential. To access to the system, you need to write down the username and the password that you received by email. To start mapping, you can go to the Map item of the menu and select Entity. Then, select the activity you want to map from the drop-down menu, and the system will allow to upload the file from your file system. The file should contain in the first row the names of the variables extracted from the national database and, optionally, the data to translate. Once the file is uploaded, the system shows a preview of the selected activity and the headers from the uploaded file from national database. To start the mapping, just click Next. You have the list of attributes from the uploaded file on the left, and the attributes from EFSA's activity on the right. To map the attributes, you can simply drag and then drop the relevant national name to the respective EFSA attribute. So, just find the name you're looking for, and drag it to the right attribute in the selected activity. When an EFSA attribute is described by more than one name in the national database, we have a multiple match. For example, we can associate the type 1 and the type 2 name to the establishment type. All mandatory EFSA attributes are indicated with red letters and the optional ones with black. The attribute types are described in square brackets and they are shown next to the EFSA attribute name. If a name from the national file has been mapped to an EFSA attribute of primitive type, text or numerical value, the name is no longer draggable, and a fully colored square will appear next to it. Otherwise, the name is still available, to be used for complex or multiple mapping, and, in this case, an empty colored square will appear next to it. You can mark an attribute as not available right-clicking on it and select the choice Not Available from the context menu when you don't have any attribute from your national database for an optional EFSA attribute. Once finished with the first entity, you can proceed with the next one. When the national data are characterized by a higher degree of aggregation than the EFSA data model, you can drop the national name in all EFSA attributes that are covered by that single attribute. For example, the species perp name can be mapped into subunit species and subunit purpose type attributes. You may also notice that this type of mapping is only applicable to attributes linked to catalogs. You can use the inherit functionality, accessible right-clicking on some attributes, when exactly the same information from the national database has to be repeated in two different EFSA attributes that belong to different hierarchically entities of the same activity. The relevant attribute can be chosen in the presented menu. If during the mapping you drop your name on a wrong EFSA attribute, you can right-click on it and click on Revert to undo the linking. It's important to remember that the attribute mapping is considered completed when all EFSA attributes have an association. In the example, we haven't mapped the subunit municipality. In this case, when you click on the Next button, the system will show a pop-up error. You can search which attribute is not mapped, that is, where the tick is missing, and complete it. Also, it is not mandatory to link all the elements from your national database to the EFSA attributes. Irrelevant attributes from the national file can be left unmapped. Before moving on the third step, the system check for unused names and, in case there are any, a pop-up message is shown asking for confirmation. Once finished the mapping, you can check in the summary if your mapping is correct. In case of spotting some errors, you can go back and correct the wrong association. If everything is correct, you can click on the Next button. The system by default proposes to upload the data contained in the Excel file uploaded in the first step, that is the recommended choice. Clicking on the Finish button, the mapping will be completed. After the completion, the system allows to visualize your equivalent data model in the XML format and to download the related Excel template.